Good evening, everyone. So, as Arun mentioned, last weekend I did 500 kilometers of cycling between Pune, Kolhapur, and back in about 30 odd hours. In the world that I reside in, that's considered normal or, or even average. I know many friends, men and women, who are capable of much more than that. I'm an okay cyclist, as I describe myself, bad swimmer, average runner, and an avid cyclist. I know cycling just like any one of you since childhood. So for me, it's just extension of that and pushing it more and more. But this story that I'm going to tell you is not about cycling. It's actually about my swimming, which I didn't know 2 years ago. I grew up in small villages and small towns and never had exposure to getting into water, or I never thought about learning swimming. So 2 years ago, it all started. One fine day, I was cycling with a friend of mine who happens to be a neurosurgeon. He brainwashed me into doing this, and he says, "Hey, I registered for Singapore half Ironman." And I go, "Oh, wow, great. You should do it." And he turns around and says, "You should do it too." My first reaction was, no chance. I don't even know basic swimming. He shrugs it off and then says, this started as a competition between cyclists and swimmer. And he goes on talking about the history, tidbits, and things like that. I was so tempted by the end of it. And I said, okay, I need to do it. I went home and merrily registered for an Ironman event without even knowing swimming. It's very similar to what had happened a few years ago. I think this is a pattern in my head. I read a lot about entrepreneurship. I had some ideas. And one fine day, I just decided to put in my resignation and say, I'm going to look at the entrepreneurship. So during this whole journey of both, I've seen a lot of patterns which emerge out of one going into unknown territories and using some strengths and somehow overcoming your weaknesses and getting in there. So I'm going to, I think, as I speak further, you kind of realize the patterns, and I'm not going to explicitly state that to you. I'm just going to tell my story. So after registration, I did research on what this is. As she mentioned, it's 1.9 kilometer of swimming in the ocean and 90 kilometer of cycling and then 21 kilometer of running. And the cake is, you should do it in 8.5 hours, including the transition time. Also did further research and realized that until that point, there was only one woman in India, Anu Vaidyanathan. Interestingly, she's also an entrepreneur. There's only one woman who had done it. And I also realized that swimming in the ocean is at least 3 times more difficult than swimming in the pool. And I also had to buy a lot of gear to have a smooth transition between these 3 events. So with all this knowledge, I went to the pool and tried to swim. I couldn't even manage 2 strokes. So came back very worried, consulted all the online sources, called all friends, whoever has known about this event, and drew up a business plan. This is what the task is. These are the N items I'll do to reach here. And I signed up for a pool near my office and duly started swimming every day. After about a month, I managed to swim 1 lap, that is 25 meters. So meanwhile, we had also realized that few other people from India, I think all in all 10 people had registered. So we created an online group called Bangalore Triathletes and started meeting and having mini triathlons on the weekend and in generally having a lot of fun. And all of them happened to be good swimmers, if not expert swimmers, right? And they also filled me in on a lot of other scary facts like, hey, you know, Singapore Ocean has jellyfish and they sting you as you swim. But don't worry, the pain is mild. So, and in the whole process, I think that networking helped a lot. We discovered there was an Ironman expert, a British person who lived in Chennai. So we called them up and said, hey, can you have a mentoring session for us? He said, yeah, come along. So we went there. He shared us a lot of his own experiences of how he did it. And more interestingly, he observed all three of the things that we do and gave us a lot of technical feedback. For me, he said, your cycling is okay. Your swimming and running suck. Basically, I had not learned swimming technically at all. So see, you have to correct your technique in order for you to go anywhere from here. And also, we had our first exposure to open water swimming, and in which I promptly drowned, and he pulled me out. But I wasn't too worried because there was still about 5-6 months of time, and I'm still learning. So I'll be able to get over the open water swimming. At least that's what I thought. So we came back to Bangalore, and we started practicing feverishly. I also enrolled into a 10-day swimming class, and also tried improving my cycling, running, and everything. So at the end of the 3 months, I was able to do about 60 laps in about 75 minutes, as opposed to 75 in 75, which is the bare minimum cutoff. But throughout this, I was kind of completely battling with this question, right? Why the hell am I doing this? There's absolutely no ROI, except for some silly pride, perhaps. And all the schedules that I had drawn for myself kept going away. But I kept at it, some way, somewhere, we'll be able to, get some benefit out of it. So by December, which was 5 months into this whole thing, I decided to tackle this open water thing again. So I went to Chennai, hired a boat in Marina Beach, asked that guy to go 2 kilometers in the ocean. I had this friend's friend of mine, who had again done some Ironman, and he was with me in the boat. He says, okay, jump. I jumped. Severe panic hit me. And I couldn't even breathe, can't move my leg. The ocean looks very calm, but when it hits, the only thing you're thinking is there is 20,000 feet below this. So, and obviously they threw a rope, pulled me back in. I came back very dejected. So at this time, I started thinking this whole thing is a mistake. I should at least cancel the registration, get the refund. I even joked to my friends, why in the hell would I go all the way to Singapore to drown? We have cheaper options here. But I said, okay, I will go till February. I'll continue with whatever I'm doing, whatever the basic training I'm doing. And then I'll take a call. So February arrived. The event was in March. About a week before the event, I took stock of the situation. I was able to make 75 laps in 75 minutes, which is the bare minimum, but that too in a pool. Right? Ocean is altogether a completely different ballgame. So I said, I know that I may not make it, or I may barely make it, but I'll take it as an expensive vacation. I'll go, even if I fail, it's good, I can always say that I went there. So I packed my bags, ended up in Singapore. I deliberately checked into this official hotel where all these world-famous athletes, people who professionally do this for living, they come. And I met and spoke to them, and I was like, this is not the place I belong. This constant gnawing feeling, what am I doing? I've not done like 5% of the training that these folks have done. I shouldn't be here. But then I think although that feeling was there, the other feeling which was there was, oh, it is such a nice culture, and there's festivity, and you kind of feel proud to be part of that moment. So I said, okay, and I was enjoying that. And 2 days before the event, they actually allow you to try the swim course. So I went there with a lot of trepidation. My friends from Bangalore, they didn't realize my state of mind. They just jumped in and went for the trial. I was frozen with the fear. I just kept on looking at the expanse of ocean before me and standing there on the shore, not knowing what to do. So this American lady who was watching me, I think she realized my fear and she came up to me like an angel. I said, for the first time, it's always very difficult. Let me swim with you. If you kind of anything happens, I will pull you back. So gratefully I accepted. Eventually, I was able to do a kilometer that day, which is, half of what it is. But it took me an hour, which is double the allotted time for the swimming part of the course. I said, okay, so my aim now is just to finish the course. It doesn't matter how much time it takes. But later we were informed that at 5 hours, there's a cutoff. If you don't reach that point by 5 hours, you'll be pulled off the course. I like cursing myself. I said, okay, so be it. I will go and do it. If they pull me off, whatever is the consequence, right? I'll finish or they will pull me off, whichever comes first. So the D-Day dawned, complete Murphy's Law. One day before, Japanese tsunami happened. And the whole Singapore TVs are beaming those destructive images, right? And I woke up at 4 a.m. and had not slept the whole night because these images of ocean taking over people and buildings, they kept playing in my mind. I had a good breakfast though, walked to the shore, and there are some helpful people who come. Do you know today is full moon day? And do you know this is apogee happening? What is apogee? It's apparently once in 20 years, moon comes closest to Earth. Look at the timing. I mean, that year, I'm trying and all these things are coming together. I said, okay. I waited for the bang. At 8, the race started. And I've never experienced more panic in my life. There's 1,000 people who are swimming with you. Jellyfishes are stinging. And you're getting kicked from all these swimmers who are going ahead, right? All I'm thinking is, how do I get out of this crowd? How do I go out, right? But within few minutes, all of them overtook me, which actually made my life very simpler. I was able to swim peacefully. After a while, I could actually sense the shore about 100 meters. So I said, okay, my aim is to just reach that. But with all these struggles I've had in the water, both my legs cramped. I was not able to move the legs at that point. So by December, which was 5 months into this whole thing, I decided to tackle this open water thing again. So I went to Chennai, hired a boat in Marina Beach, asked that guy to go 2 kilometers in the ocean. I had this friend's friend of mine, who had again done some Ironman, and he was with me in the boat. He says, okay, jump. I jumped. Severe panic hit me. And I couldn't even breathe, can't move my leg. The ocean looks very calm, but when it hits, the only thing you're thinking is there is 20,000 feet below this. So, and obviously they threw a rope, pulled me back in. I came back very dejected. So at this time, I started thinking this whole thing is a mistake. I should at least cancel the registration, get the refund. I even joked to my friends, why in the hell would I go all the way to Singapore to drown? We have cheaper options here. But I said, okay, I will go till February. I mean, I'll continue with whatever I'm doing, whatever the basic training I'm doing. And then I'll take a call. So February arrived. The event was in March. About a week before the event, I took stock of the situation. I was able to make 75 laps in 75 minutes. I was barely managing with my hand. Actually, a rescue boat comes and says, do you want to be pulled out? I said, no, only 100 meters. I waved them off, somehow made it to the shore. I think I was the last one to come out of the ocean of the 1,000 participants there. I limped to my cycle. It's okay, this is my strong point. I should be able to recover from whatever happened here, right? So I got on to cycle and completely put my effort there, even though I was cramped. And I made that 5-hour cutoff. So after that, it was all like, okay, now I'm energized. The worst part is behind me. Although half marathon was there and I'm an average runner, I was able to do that in about 3 hours, which is at that point best for me. So as I was approaching the finish line, and the person who is guarding the end line ceremoniously announces, Manjula Sridhar from India. I was like, this is the best moment in my life. It was huge relief and disbelief. I mean, I couldn't believe that I actually finished it within an official cutoff. I mean, I thought I will somehow manage it till the end point, but finishing it within official cutoff was a huge point for me. So, so this is the story, but as I said earlier, there is so much of correlation of what happened here and what happened in my entrepreneurial journey. I came out alone. I didn't have any co-founders. I didn't know anything about business world at that time. I'm just this pure techie, almost academic kind of oriented with patents, but I had no idea what P&L statements are. So from there, the journey of discovering how you deal with people in the business world, how you speak to them, how you raise funding, all that has so much of similar mental strains and capabilities. So the point I wanted to leave you with are, everything in your life is a set of patterns. I don't know how many of you are from software background here. There is a very interesting book called Gang of Four, which talks about software patterns. Essentially, it says any software in the world can be written using various patterns. It's not code reuse, it's not design reuse, it's architectural reuse. It's a very fundamental concepts that are there in your head which can be reused. And in fact, a lot of code can be automated, putting a lot of the programmers out of the job if that concept can be really practically applied. So I believe our brain is actually made up of those patterns. I mean, if you really think about it, all these patterns were created by brain. So it must have created something, a mini replicas of what is there in the brain. So for me, the lessons from both these journeys has been, these patterns, once you latch onto them, you can reapply and redeploy them in various points in your life, right? Be it endurance activity, be it entrepreneurship, relationships, any other ventures that you can think of. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.